Everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to Trendy with Kim Allison and today's guest, who I think you will enjoy, Olivia Brown. You guys, she is all the way from across the globe. If you're here in the US with me, that is. She's from Australia. She goes by at Salon22 on Instagram and whatever other social she's on. You guys are going to love her, especially if you are new to the industry and you're someone that sees your career accelerated, just going full speed ahead. You will feed off of her journey, you guys. We talk about social media, we talk about color formulations, her placement, which is what she's known for on her socials. She's known for her foiling techniques. We talk about how she came into the industry, how she's amassed a following of 200 clients at the ripe old age of 24. She is so fun and such a delight. I know you guys are going to enjoy. So, here we go. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Trendy with Kim Allison, where I chat with some of the most talented and inspiring beauty professionals in our industry. And today, you guys, I'm excited to introduce you to Olivia Brown. She's a young and talented stylist all the way from Australia.
Hi guys, thank you for having me today.
Yay! She specializes in hair color, and her creativity shines through not only in her beautiful work, but also in her unique branding. Something I noticed, everything seems to be pink. I think we'll see. So we'll dive into her journey as a stylist, her favorite techniques, and how she's making herself known at just 24 years old. So you guys, let's get inspired. Olivia, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to get into everything.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you. And again, I say this for every guest, and I'll tell you as well, I'm so grateful for your time, you giving me the next hour, as my goal is to help the next generation of hair. And I know there's going to be somebody out there new coming into the industry or thinking about coming into the industry that's going to resonate with you and be inspired by your story that we are happy to share.
Yes,
All right.
let's hope so.
Yes. And again, this is not about anything having to do with me. It's all about you. So let's get into your background and how you found, your way into this industry and what inspired you to just pursue doing what you're doing.
Hairdressing, yeah. So I knew I wanted to be a hairdresser from the age of 14. So I was very young and just knew, and I sort of was creative and I randomly liked maths as well. And I was like, how do I make this work for me? And one day I happened to be braiding someone's hair, and someone just said to me, you should be a hairdresser. And it was like everything fell into place. I was like, yep, that is what I need to do. So sure enough, I kind of, put feelers out there. I think I had 2 interviews. They didn't work out. I was like, oh my gosh, this is what I need to do. Like, is this right? And then I actually got a phone call saying, hey, I heard you're looking for a job. We've got it for you here. And I ended up working at that place for 7 years. So that's sort of how I got into the industry. I started when I was 15, and I did a school-based apprenticeship. So once a week I would actually go into the salon instead of going into school. And so I did that throughout year 11 and 12, and that took 1 year off my full apprenticeship. So then out of school, I only had to do another 2 years, so 4 years altogether. So
Oh,
yes, so I
wow.
got into it quite young.
Yes, you did. You knew early, which is, I'm sure, what makes you a natural, because you
Yes,
kind of
yes.
hit the ground running. So tell me, I know, how does it differ from the US? Because here in the US, they require in some states 1,500 hours, in some 16, and I think they're lessening it. It's kind of, I don't know what's happening right now, but what
Yeah.
is the process coming out of school or starting beauty school there? How does it work over there in Australia?
Yeah, so we have like a college. So I know you guys have college. We don't usually, most people go to university, but hairdressing actually has a college. So you get, I think it is about 30 to 40 books. It's all online now, but obviously when I did it, it was books.
Yeah.
And you had to complete 3 years. Um, either at college. So at college, they would have a salon there as well, where you can, people come in and it's a very heavily discounted price because they know everyone's training. So you could either just be at the college, or you could do school based, or you could actually be working at a salon. So, say if you were to be out of school, I want to be a hairdresser, you'd go work at a salon, and 1 day a week you'd go into college and you'd have your books that you'd complete. So, it's more about getting all the work done opposed to the amount of hours being in the salon.
Oh. Oh, that's
Yeah.
very interesting. Yes, that's
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
different than how we do it. I would imagine it gives you more practical experience doing it
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
way on
Definitely. Yeah.
real people. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And I actually loved going into college. A lot of young girls don't because they're thrown in, whereas I'm like, yep, I've never done a haircut. Let's do it. Like, I'm just like,
Ah,
I have no idea what I'm doing. Like, let's go. And I've always been that way, but it's always worked in my favor because I've just jumped into it and yeah, found my way through that. So, yeah, college, I loved it because they'd make me do all this stuff. Whereas a lot of people can get quite nervous because they're like, I don't know how. Whereas I saw it as like, that's why we're here. No one knows how. Let's just try. So, yeah, loved it.
you got, as you said, you got to start somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. That's right.
Yeah, so I guess that leads me into my next thought. You're only 24 years old and you're kind of already making your mark, at least on Instagram, I noticed. Where do
Yeah.
you see yourself in the next few years? Are you working toward getting your own salon studio? Are you happy just working, in a hair salon with that camaraderie that some people love, working with other
Yeah, yeah.
stylists?
So I guess I've always had a plan, but also gone with the flow. So, as much as I love hairdressing, I've kind of done a couple of other things on the side too, because I thought, when I'm a grandma, I don't just want to be like, I became a hairdresser at 14 and I stayed a hairdresser. I was like, I want to do some other things
Totally.
too. But my passion, and I will always do hairdressing no matter what. So, yeah, where I see myself, I'm in a real transitional phase at the moment. So I have a small home salon, and I have 200 clients, and it is just me. And so I'm kind of bursting at the seams at the moment. So I am in that stage of, do I want to bring on an apprentice? Do I move to another space and expand? To be honest with you, I haven't quite figured it out, but I think that that's the best way sometimes because I think I know that eventually, I'd like to have kids, I'd like to have a home salon, that's where I want to be. But at the same time, I've always kind of gone where opportunities have taken me. So, say if there was to be a salon opening, and it was close by, I had people who I could see working there, maybe that would work out. So, to be honest, that's probably not a great answer.
No, I think it's a very honest answer. I don't know how
Yeah.
else you could have answered that, and I'm impressed that you have 200 clients. That's
Yeah, thank you. I know I just hit 200, so I'm like,
right.
okay, just everyone slow down now.
Yeah, you're like, okay, I can't take you all. So,
Yes,
with that
exactly.
said, who are the players in Australia? Like, who are the celebrity hairdressers? Are there any who are the superstars? The well-known,
Well,
the names,
yeah,
the big
yeah.
names. Who are they in Australia?
Um, interestingly, it's I think it's more the salon names, and funnily enough, it's a lot of men in the industry. I find
Mhm.
that even though it's such a female-dominated industry, um, the men are the ones who seem to maybe have that business brain where they create these massive salons and get that name out there. So I don't necessarily maybe think these are the best, but these are definitely the names I hear from people going, oh, I went here and there. So Stefan's has always been a big one. There's Oscar and Oscar, and Edwards and Co is quite big
Okay.
in franchising, I guess.
Okay. Okay.
As for individual stylists, I know there are a lot, but to be honest, I probably don't keep up with everyone because I'm just doing my thing. So,
Hey, I think you're one of them. That's what I think.
oh, thank you. I appreciate
Yeah,
that. I
absolutely.
hope
And,
so.
I think it's important to, like, even doing what I'm doing, trying to take on creating a show and, reaching my end goal and the reasons why I did this, is the important thing is to remember, and I don't like competition. I've
Yeah,
never, we work in an industry, it's competitive. It's, there's a hairdresser every 5 minutes. Right? Take 4 steps, another one, another one, another one. So I think that it's important to me. It's like golf. Like you're playing against other people, but you're really trying to achieve your own personal best. And
yeah,
you're as good as whatever you did last. It doesn't matter what
absolutely.
someone else is doing or how successful someone else is. And I think that's what
Yes.
trips people up,
100%, and I think
especially
you're
when they're
totally
new.
right. Yeah, yeah, I think that yeah, the fact that there are, young new stylists watching this, it's so important. I as much as I don't wanna say it, I really don't pay attention to who's doing well, I might see 1 or 2 here and there, but I am so busy that I don't even have time, and I think in my little bubble, I'm doing the best I can, and I think that that is honestly a really good trait to have. Call it naive, call it fairyland.
No,
Sometimes it's just fun to live in that world, and to be like, no, I am killing it. And my clients like me. And yeah, there's always going to be someone who's doing more than you, but if you're happy doing what you're doing, then that is the most important thing, I think.
no, I couldn't agree with you more. Well said. And I appreciate you saying that, because again, we're all in this thing together, all of
Yeah.
us. And
Yeah,
me, when
exactly.
I started this show, I had no idea what anyone else was doing until
Yes.
after I started, because it hasn't
Yeah.
been long. And then I said, let me see, just in my research, trying to see, just get some ideas of how I
Yeah.
want to do it, because I can easily figure out how I'm going to do something, because I'm never going to do it the way somebody else did it, because
Yes.
I don't like to copy. I like just being
Yeah.
my own individual,
Totally,
doing
and that's
my own
what
thing. Yeah.
yes, and that's what
Mhm.
attracts people to you as well, I think that when you know what you do and you do it well, that's all people can ask for, you know?
That's all they can ask for. So let's
Yeah,
talk
for sure.
about, Olivia, your branding and style, because
Yes.
your Instagram is full of pink.
Yeah.
So
I will admit
I'm
pink
like,
is
I know,
my
I don't know if
favorite color.
anybody else, yeah, I don't know if anybody else picked up on that, but as I
Yes.
was looking through doing my research, I'm like, am I seeing the same video, or is everything, every clip, every foil?
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
love my colors for this show are pink and black and white or whatever. So, what's the story behind the pink motif, or is that just my imagination?
To be on no, you're right. To be honest though, if you came into the salon, it's very neutrally colored, but I love pink. So I'm like a either black or like, this kind of brown, beigey kind of colors, or then pink. Like there's no in between for me. So it's really funny. My partner's like, you're just these two different people, he's like, you can either just be like super playing, or then I just come out in some pink outfit that's just crazy, we recently actually had like a show, I guess like a fair, and I had one of those pink cowgirl hats on, wore it from about 9 a.m. to like 10 p.m. Loved it.
Love it. Love it.
So yes, so look, to be honest, it's probably just my personal preference. So I get the pink foils, I use pink clips. I think my comb is like a peachy kind of color.
Oh,
But yeah, I
okay.
probably
So
when
the comb varies, but
yeah, exactly. I've got, some variation in there. But yeah, look, it is just a favorite color of mine, to be honest. And so on the grid, yeah, because a lot of the, I guess, photos when you're posting it on the grid, they have the foils in there, so it does look like it's all kind of pink, which I'm not mad about.
I mean, you have to keep it cohesive so that it's
That's
pleasant
it.
to the
Yes,
eye.
for
Your
sure.
tutorials, all of your work on your grid, there's two parts to this question. One, no, I'm going to ask you that later when we talk about social media.
Okay.
So I'll go into your tutorials. They seem very short but highly informative. Like, what's your favorite highlighting technique and why?
Um, that's a good question. I love foiling. Like it is like my passion. If I have back-to-back foils, I'm like, it's gonna be a good day. So, um, my best technique, I would say for the kind of work I do, it is very low maintenance. So my foil technique is very fine, and I will usually pop a weave in there as well to just make it a really natural grow out. I would say that would be majority of my clients. A lot of them come, every kind of 3 months, and I am happy with that because to be honest, being, a brunette, I get a couple of foils and I don't wanna be in the salon all the time, and that is the
Mhm.
clientele I attract. So my highlighting technique would definitely be quite fine, either slices if it is a blonder client, or a weave. And I always think that um, if you perfect your foiling, you shouldn't really need to fix up with a toner. I think we see a lot of this, root smudging and, just tone it down, but then there is maybe like a stripy foil underneath. In
Hmm.
2 to 4 weeks, that toner rinses out. Your stripy foil is coming through. So I think that getting your foiling technique right, and look, I do take maybe a little bit longer than others to foil, but I rarely need to do a root stretch, almost ever. I create a root stretch with my foiling, if that makes sense.
It's interesting that you say that because it seems that I'm from the older generation,
Yes.
obviously. And so the younger generation, I feel there's a lot of lived in looks. They're
Yes.
beautiful. They're beautiful looks, and I know that again, it takes the whole dressing world to go around. Young stylists need old stylists, and seasoned stylists need young stylists. I mean, because the younger generation, you guys are the future of the industry. So I'm not, not to discount the beautiful lived-in looks, but I find that when that came to be, it just was. I mean, I remember doing that back in the late 90s. They called it a root shadow or something back
Yeah,
then,
yeah.
or something else. They called it something else when I was at Tony and Guy. But now I feel like I can't tell, are you covering up a mistake, or was this just your grand plan from
Yes.
minute one?
From the
And
get-go.
do you know what I mean? So
A 100%.
it's hard to decipher where this trend, what influenced this trend. And so
Yeah.
you're a part of that generation. So
Yes, yeah.
you're the first one to not say that lived in
Yeah,
is your
yeah.
favorite look.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I
I
find that
mean, look,
interesting.
yeah, like, look, I enjoy a lived-in look, but maybe not in the way that, yeah, people maybe my generation are doing. I think the lived-in look really came from COVID. I remember one client in particular, she was blonde as blonde for years. We've been doing it for about maybe 3 years, I wanna say 4 years, and, she had about this much regrowth
Yes.
because of COVID. And she's
Yes.
like, I actually don't mind it. So we ran with it. So we did have a bit more of a natural look. And so I almost feel this lived in look has come from a bit from COVID, a bit from, the cost of living crisis that we're going through. People can't
Mhm.
afford to get it done all the time. But as for, yeah, that root smudge, I just find if you do foils correctly and you're weaving them right up to the root, when I take my foils out, the only reason I tone is to get my desired tone. It's not to, oh, I'll blend out these foils. They should already be blended with your foiling technique. So I
Yes.
think that is probably the difference between me and other hairdressers. So you might go and get a lived-in look, looks amazing, and then about 3, 4 weeks later, your toner's washed out and you're like, "Oh, I didn't notice that, big chunk of
Mhm.
a foil right there." Whereas, as I
Glossy.
said, for my clients, I
Mhm.
have I have clients who come every 6 months and they're blonde and you
Oh,
wouldn't even know it. And it grows out so naturally. And they come back in, and obviously I'm quite dark, and they'd probably have like a medium sort of light brown hair. And I'm like, damn, like that still looks really good, you know? And so I think that I'm also very honest too, if someone comes in and they're like, look, like I can only get it done this amount of times. I'm like, cool,
mhm.
like no worries. Let's roll with that. So yeah, I definitely think that my advice with foiling, and I guess my technique would be to get the foils right, lighten them all the way up if that's what you want to. Be intentional with your foils, opposed to just going, this is what I do, and this is how long I leave it on for, and then I'm just going to tone it all to fix it all up. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, I totally see what you're saying. So there are
Yeah.
people who do lived-in looks and root smudges with intention, and then there are those. I think both are true. There are those who
Yeah.
don't,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, for sure.
So
Yeah.
you when you color hair, I noticed in one of your videos you said that you prefer the hair to be dirty, where every brand that I can think of in the last 5 years, it's better if the hair is clean.
Yeah.
So why do you prefer it to be dirty?
So I prefer it to be so the colors that I use, can cut through
Okay.
most things. So I also think too, I'm not getting, your older ladies who are using, I'm thinking of my bupcha, which is my grandma. She uses a can of hairspray. I'm not getting ladies like that in. I'm getting, girls my age where it's just 3-day old greasy, and so I've never found a difference of the color quality between having clean hair and having dirty hair, especially because I do specialize in blondes. Maybe if I did more brown hair, maybe I would find a difference. I only have a handful of them, and I've always found it fine. But with my blondes, I've never found a difference with the lightning. It might take 5 minutes longer, but to be honest, the reason I say that is because I never want people to think, "Oh, I'm going to the hairdressers. I need to wash my hair." Like that's
Yeah.
my job, just come, relax, and this is a reason too that I'm sure we'll get into later, that I don't actually film a lot of people's faces, because again, I don't want people thinking, "Oh, I've got to come in. She's going to film my face." Like I just want people
Yeah.
to come in your tracksuit,
Yeah.
looking your absolute worst. I want people to come in, relax. And so, yeah, so I think that um, because I've never found a huge difference, I've never felt the need to push clean your hair before you
So
come in.
it's not come in dirty because you feel like there's a benefit to it. It's just you just want to make it as convenient for your client as possible.
Yes,
That's what I'm hearing.
but yeah, but it also is convenient when foiling. So I find, because I take quite fine foils, I'm sure a lot of people know, you've got your people with the little baby fine hairs, and even when you're sort of slicing through the side, they've got little tiny hairs, and when it's clean, it's so fluffy, and so there's hair everywhere. Whereas when it's dirty, it sticks together, and so I find I can get, the crisp foils that you see on my channel, majority of them are on, 3-day old hair, because it's got that oil. It probably sounds gross to anyone who's
No,
not a hairdresser, but I love the feel.
it lays down easier so
Yeah,
that
it
you can
does. And
control the lightener, placement.
totally. Yeah, totally. And I find I can get closer to the scalp because I've got a cleaner slice, and then my weave is always clean too, because you don't have random fluffy hairs coming in. So there is also that benefit too. So yeah, it's a little bit, because I'm like, I don't want people to stress about it, but it also is a bit easier for me as well. So
Yeah,
bit of both.
absolutely. No, that totally makes sense, and to your point, you allowed Hair Genius Academy to do a repost of one of your foiling videos. And
Yes.
and now that you say it, it makes perfect sense. I'll show you guys. And we got a lot of likes on this. So this is good.
The same. Do you know what love is? Will we stay?
Yeah. So the it's so clean and
Yes.
precise.
Yes. Yeah.
Concise. And so that
Definitely,
would be an
yeah.
example of hair that's just a little greasy, and you were able
Yeah.
to take that thin section, lay it nicely without having to chase, flyaways.
Little hairs. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I love a clean slice. I think that's why I enjoy foiling because it is just so satisfying. Like I look at that, I'm like, oh,
Yes.
that's so
So let's
good.
talk more about some of your amazing looks. This is another I took the audio off so that you
Yep.
can kind of go over what you did with this flawless global process you did here.
Yeah, so this one is actually a scalp lighten. I know a lot of people say scalp bleach, but people are scared of bleach. So I always say it's a scalp lighten. But yes,
Mhm.
because my mom, so this is funny side story, but my mum is a blonde and she said to me, "Don't put bleach on my hair." And I
Yeah.
said, "Okay, we're just gonna foil it."
Yes.
Like it's just the word of it. So that was a scalp lighten. This was actually a client who I really struggled with. So I
Mm.
found it hard to get that real crisp, clean white. And look, it probably took us 3 or 4 appointments, and now it's like clockwork. So we do a scalp lighten, her hair lightens really clean, and then we actually just do an all over gloss. I use Redken, so it's a 9P, which is like a pearly kind of color, and I bump it up to an 11 level so that we get that really bright kind of color. And every now and then I will clean out those ends because, as most people know, the more you sort of put toner on, or with Redken specifically, if you tone over tone over tone, it slowly gets darker. And because she loves that really
Mm.
white, crisp look, I don't put a lightener through the ends. I put a product that just sort of bumps out that toner but still keeps the hair healthy. So
Okay.
that was this particular client. But yeah, perfect example of you don't always get it right the first time, and I'm very honest about that. More times than not, I try to, of course, but with this particular lady, she likes it that really crisp white, and so it took us a couple goes, and now, as I said, she's been coming for a couple years now, and she actually came in last week, and she's like, "Oh, she's like 2.5 hours," like, and she was out of here, she was like, "That's so good." So, yeah, we've really got it down pat now, which is awesome.
Well, that's good. So it took you do you do platinum cards, or
Uh,
is it subjective? Like, do you just kind of, select, or selective rather? Like, can anybody walk in the door and get a
oh, I see
platinum
what you mean.
card?
Sorry. Yes. Yep.
Because
So,
it's a process. It's a lot
yeah,
of
it
work.
definitely is. Yeah, so this lady was she had always been this sort of light color. She had just moved from Sydney. So she was looking for a hairdresser in Brisbane, and she had foils thinking that she wanted to be a bit more natural. So again, it was quite a unique case because then we don't want to see any natural. So you can imagine trying to then go through and you've got this, the blonde, and then you've got, this almost band of where you foiled, and then the natural, and oh my gosh. And so
Yeah.
yeah, it took us a little
Yeah.
while to get there, but now
Got
we're
you.
like clockwork. So but yeah, she was already blonde. But yeah, as for other people wanting this sort of color, it is definitely dependent on what kind of hair,
For
your
sure.
hair type, thickness, color, health, all those things. I am someone who I'm like, I would much rather get a nice color that you're maybe not 100% happy with than a color that you're happy with and it's on the ground. That's what I say to everyone. So
I love that. I have a box sign, a tiny one, because box signs are dead. But anyway, I
yeah,
still keep this little one, and it says, "It doesn't matter how light your hair is if it's on the floor."
exactly. Yep.
I
And
mean,
honesty is everything. Again, another great tip. I am so honest with my clients. I'm like, I actually don't know how this is going to come up, because sometimes you actually don't, and being honest about that and going, this is, where I think we can get it to. This is where I hope to get it to. And just being honest about that whole process. With this client, I said to her, because it did take us a bit, and I was like, I just don't know what I'm doing right. And it wasn't until I actually went out on my own and she came with me that I was able to have the full amount of time. I checked her, scalp light and every 15 minutes to make
Mhm.
sure that it was perfect. I was able to leave the toner on for the right amount of time. And I guess, yeah, this is where working by myself is great because I can go, I just need to set 4 hours out for this, just to make
Yeah.
sure that it's perfect.
Yes, absolutely. I love that, and it's beautiful, and
Yes,
you can
thank you.
see all of the thought that went into it. So let's
Yes,
look
yes.
at another one of your works. So this one looks like her
Oh,
hair
yes.
is a very yellowy golden color, and your end result definitely looks more
Cooler.
dimensional and blended and cooler.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, yeah. So, this one's actually a great one. So, I think this is a good example. You can see that first before photo, her blend actually looks okay. It's
Mhm.
definitely on the warmer side, and it is on the warmer side for her as well. Um, but yeah, as I said, like it's not like she's got crazy harsh regrowth. It's still kind of grown out, and this would have been. She probably comes in every 3 months, I want to say. So for three
Mm.
months, you're coming back in and it's not looking too bad. So with this one, this was a foil job. So again, she's actually really, really dark. She would probably
Mhm.
be a 3 or 4 level, I want to say.
Oh, wow.
But again, like the blend for a 3 or 4 level is awesome. So I take really fine sections because she is so dark. I do want that lift to be quite clean again because she does like a cooler sort of color. So I think I did a quarter head on this particular appointment, but we kind of bounced between a full head, then maybe like 2 quarter heads, then a half head, then 2 quarter heads, then a full head. That's what a lot of my clients are kind of on. Again, saving money, hair health, all
Sure.
those sorts of things. But yeah, so I would say that was a quarter head appointment. And yeah, we just would have done the foils at the top and then through her ends again. I use a product called Base Breaker, which is a Redken product, and that was what I
Yes.
was talking about before. That instead of lightening the hair and potentially damaging it, it actually just cleans out that toner. So every sort of 3 to 4 appointments for some of my blondies, the ends just get, when they just are not bright and beautiful
Yeah.
anymore.
Mhm.
They are sort of a bit, yeah, dull, I guess is the best word. And it's when people come in feeling darker, but it's really
Yeah.
just dull and it just needs that clean out. So you have a clean base to start with and then go in with your fresh toner. So that's what we did on this
Did
client.
you say base breaker? You use that on
Yes.
her roots, right?
No, no, I used on the ends.
Base breaker. Oh,
Yes,
okay.
yes.
Got
Yeah.
you.
So yeah,
I
so
didn't know
it's
it could be used on the ends because
oh,
I'm an oldie and a newbie at the same time. I just
yes.
incorporated color just a short while ago. So I'm still
Okay, cool.
learning some of those tricks of the trade.
Yes, yeah, yeah. So, through any sort of hair, you definitely don't want to put it. So you can see through her roots, she's still got some of her natural. So if I were to go put that on there, the blonde hair would come up beautiful and clean, but her roots would actually have a glow because it does lift that teeny bit.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
I just go more on those, yeah, the ends, and I try to avoid any sort of natural hair that I can.
Interesting. Okay. I like that
Yeah.
tip. I've never, and it's probably just because I'm an idiot and I don't understand all things color. Let's
No,
talk
not at
about
all.
no, you have no idea. I'm sure on this show, newbies can relate because they're like, "Yeah, yeah, you're just like us." I'm like, "Yeah,
Yeah,
I really am. I have
yeah,
zero
yeah.
idea." All right,
Gotta
so
start somewhere, it's
I
okay.
you know, and for my clients who watch, I mean, I can do what I do on my clients, but there are some looks that are just more progressive, just require more intricacy, different
Yeah,
formulating
yeah,
tactics. And I guess I can say I'm pretty basic. Like if you want like
yeah,
a basic highlighting process or lightning, of course I can do that. But when you get into the
yeah,
science behind formulating and just the artistry behind
yeah.
formulating colors and toners and knowing when to break the rules,
Yeah.
I'm not there. That's what I mean.
Yeah, okay. Well, yeah. And again, like
Yeah.
takes that time, but funny you say that because going back, I love maths. And so formulating kind of gives me that like math kick that I need. And it's also
Oh.
creative. So, you're going, okay, 1 to 2, you're using ratios. I probably use maths more than most people, So I love that sciencey side behind it. And yeah, you're right. And sometimes it just takes someone. I remember I had an apprentice at the old salon I used to work at, and she'd just gone to like some sort of course, and she's like, "Oh, what if threw in a dash of this? Like we saw it in the course." And I was like, "Yeah, let's do it."
Ah,
It came up beautifully. I would never do anything that would jeopardize my
well,
client's color, but
sure.
but what she had said made sense. And I was like, "Yeah, try it." And she was like, "Really?" I was like, "Yeah, go for it." And it was the most beautiful color of that I was just like,
I
"Wow." And
think
now
that's
that is
the
something.
idea. I think that's the idea
Yes.
too, just getting swatches and just kind of playing
Yeah.
around and using just your creativity to just kind of come up with new ways to formulate so that you can give
Yeah,
your
for
client
sure.
something fresh. So let's
Yes. Yeah.
talk about this because you do a variety of color. I love
Yes.
that.
Yes.
This is
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Now
So this is like
what's her natural level?
so she is naturally, I would say a 6, maybe a 7. So yeah, kind of like that brown, but she actually has quite a like mousy brown. It's funny, it's not warm, but then yeah, it's not quite cool. It's somewhere in between. So yeah,
Hmm.
I'd say her level is probably around that like 6 sort of 7 level. Um, and yeah, we lift it with the Redken color and then do a nice toner through the ends with that copper. But she actually went from so this was a second or third appointment after she had gone copper, but um we she had actually gone from blonde. So as you say, like, figuring out the formula because I do a lot of blondes, I was like, "Oh, okay, we're going copper," and I
Yeah.
really had to think about it. I had to go
Yeah.
whereas blondes could do it in my sleep. I could foil in my sleep, I reckon. I actually wanna try that. I wanna try
Yeah.
foiling blindfolded because I reckon I could do it. But
I think you can
copper
too.
yeah, but when it came to copper, I really was like, "Oh, okay," and had to think color theory, fillers, going brown, and so that first time I did do 2 toners. Once again, I told my client, "Look, I'm gonna," I thought, "I can't nail this just in one go because I don't even know where to start." So I really broke it down and went, "Okay, I'm gonna deepen it and see how that sort of comes up, and then we're gonna, yeah, warm it up with that sort of coppery color for the second toner." So again, I made her aware. I said, "Look, this is the process. This is what we're gonna do." I said, "We've just got to see how your hair kind of takes it because all blondes are different when going deeper. Some will come out cool, some will come out warm. You do the same formula on a very similar base and it comes out totally different." So I was like, "Look, we'll see how we go." And funnily enough, each time we do coppers, even though we do the same mix, it does come out slightly different. But she loves that. She's like, "Oh, it's fun."
Well, you have some coppers because I'm good in that arena of reds and
Yes.
coppers.
Yes.
It's more of the high level lightning where I kind
Yeah.
of have to think harder, right? And
Yeah.
so
No.
I love this level of warmth.
Yes.
So with this, you're right. Copper, it could be copper, it could be coppery red, it could be more red than
Yep.
copper sometimes, and trying to get that just that sweet spot sometimes
Yes.
can be a challenge.
Yes, for sure. I always get clients to show me multiple photos. Again, this is a great tip.
Mm,
I'm like, show me the vibe. That's what I always say. Show me the vibe. But in saying this though, it depends what type of hairdresser you are. So I like to see 5 different photos and I'll go, cool. I know where to sort of run off. People go, oh, this isn't really like this, but I can kind of make a connection. I might go, oh, you've shown me a cool and a warm photo. However, the roots are the same on both. They both have that blend and they both maybe
yeah.
have, your money piece. So then I go, is that what you like? Yeah, awesome. And then now let's look at the roots. And I sort of, sorry, the ends. Let's break it down, but I like to get a couple. So when people go coppery, I'm like, show me a couple photos. And I go, what do you like about this? Do you like the lightness? Do you like that red's popping through? And I get a really good idea of what they like, so that when I go to create it, it's going to be something towards what they've kind of shown me, but not exactly a photo. Whereas I find it very hard to go, one photo, this is what I want.
Right.
And I think the reason is because sometimes, even though you might be your client might just be looking at the roots and like that, and then they
I
don't
know.
realize, oh, the
Yeah.
ends look yellow. So I like
Yeah.
to see a couple, and I'm like, let's check out the vibe. Whereas I know a lot of other hairdressers are maybe more structured, and so they do just like one photo, and too many confuses them. My best friend, I'm a hairdresser, but I don't even know what I'm asking for. I'm like, just I like it warm, but like cool it down slightly, and then just like give it a bit of this, like a bit of lightness, but like not too light. And she's like, I'm walking away. She's like, I don't know. And then I'm like, just do what you want. Just do what you want. So again, I show her about 5 photos. This is the vibe. Do with it what you want, and it always turns out nicely. So
and that's the best thing that you can give a hairdresser is autonomy. Like, don't get too involved, because then you take us out of our game,
Yeah,
and
for
it's
sure.
hard
Yeah,
to, because you're trying to not do what you don't want us to do while also
exactly.
trying to be creative. And
Yes,
to your point,
definitely.
a consultation is everything. If you don't nail that
100%.
consultation, it can go horribly wrong.
Absolutely. Yeah,
And one of my
consultation
favorite
is,
little stories, sidebar, is because I was a cutter for many years, is my client brought a picture in, and it was short hair, and it was bangs. And she goes, oh my God. And her hair is your length. And she says, oh my God, I'm a new hairdresser. We had just learned consultation class, whatever. And she said, oh my God, I want my hair just like this picture. I found here. She ripped it out, because we had magazines back there.
Yeah,
Back
yeah,
then, we
yeah.
didn't have
I
social
love
media
it.
or Pinterest. So she brings
Yeah.
this magazine photo, beautiful model, and she has this beautiful, like, wispy, like, layered bob, and it's got these bangs. And I said, wow, okay, so this is very different. She goes, I know, I've never done anything this crazy, so I knew you were going to think. And I said, okay. So and then my last thought was, do you like everything about this picture? In fact, tell me, what do you like about this picture? I just want to
Yeah,
make
yeah.
sure we're on the same page. And you know what she says? I like the bangs, but don't cut my length. And I was
Oh
like,
my
oh
gosh.
my God.
Oh my God, that would have
Woo!
been so bad.
I'm like, you are so lucky, client, that I just took a class.
Yep, yep, yep.
Because when you're new,
Totally.
you're just trying to get your game plan down. You're
For
already
sure.
nervous to take scissors to the head. So good gracious, a
Totally.
consultation. So
Oh my gosh,
let's get, but
absolutely.
again, let's get back to you. So I
Yes,
could go
no,
on all
no.
day with my 29 years
Yeah.
experience. So with your blonding, I just wanted to touch real quick before we, move away from what you do behind the chair. What is your mixing ratio for getting that bleach
Um,
to stick so nicely without creating
yeah.
bleed marks at the roots, et cetera, et cetera?
So I do 1 to 2.
Okay.
Um, and I think that is purely just because that's what I've always done.
Okay.
I do like a runnier mixture, because I find I can really like push it into the hair. I find that sometimes a thicker mixture, yeah, I don't know. I find that, yeah, if I don't do it runnier, it sort of will, because again, it depends on what sort of lightener you use and what the hair type is. But if I'm running it all the way through the end, say it's, a virgin application, then I would like it more runny. As of recent, I've probably, yeah, gone maybe 1 to 1.5 of
Mhm.
processing, for maybe a slightly thicker, if I'm doing more of like a regrowth where you kind of need the lightener to sit in its place. But yeah, I would say I sort of bounce between the 2, and then with a scalp lighten, I usually do, I do 1 to 1.5 as well. Yeah.
Okay. So I noticed with your highlighting that, because this is controversial as well,
Yeah.
with do we sandwich a foil? Do we do traditional corner to corner folds, or do we trifold? So
Yes.
trifold is the controversial one, but I noticed you don't fold into the fold. You overlap a little bit
Yes.
in the
Yeah,
middle,
yeah.
but
Yes.
you can even still doing it that way if you don't know what you're doing. That is, you can create blotch marks or lines of
Yes.
demarcation in your blend. So how
Yes.
do you avoid that?
Yeah, so I guess the ones that you see, like that clip, that foil clip you played before, you could see she just had that bit of regrowth. So where I'm actually, I mean, that's different because I've actually ripped my foil in half on that one, so it was just one
Okay.
fold. But say if I was to use a full foil, let's
Yeah.
just say on that one, when I'm actually doing that first fold, there's actually no hair with lightener in there. So I'm
Okay.
just folding it up to make it that little bit more manageable for me. Whereas if I was to fold it in half, my client's got this big foil sitting here
Yeah.
like this,
Yeah.
opposed to just a little one. So usually when I do that first fold, yeah, so we can see where I've sort of got the lightener, where I fold it then isn't actually on the lightener, if that makes sense. Um,
Yes.
and as much as it looks like, so with my foil, I will flatten it down. I'm actually not pushing very hard at all. It's literally just like a boop like that, so that it sort
Okay.
of sits nicely, and then I fold my edges in.
I thought I had an example of that. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, let me pull something real quick. Um, 1, 2, 3. No, I guess I didn't grab one. Oh well.
No, that's okay. Yeah. So,
No.
yeah, so I guess with that tri-fold, so as I said, like usually I've got, my lightener down to here,
Yeah.
and then that first fold will sort of be here. So in between, I don't usually have lightener there. If I do, I'm not squishing it with my fingers really hard because that's
Got
obviously going to
you.
squish the
You're
lightener
not
out.
putting a lot of
I'll
tension on it.
No, I'm like half open, just kind of like
Okay.
so it sits there, and I squish more the sides, and then I'll fold it. In saying that though, if I do have a client who has long hair and we're putting the lightener all the way, I will only fold it once, and then I will fold the sides, and I actually don't even really touch the bottom. Like I might
Okay.
just kind of give it a little tiny, but I'm leaving it. And I probably don't have videos of that because it's not as pretty.
Okay. All
Whereas
right.
the other ones are quite satisfying, whereas that
No,
one's more of
hey,
just
I
like
get
a
it. We got it. We
yeah,
got to care these days about
do
those
it for the
things.
gram. Yeah.
So here's another question that I ask everybody, and the answer
Yep.
is varied. How long do you leave the toner on? Are you full 20 minutes, or you just wait until I see the tone I want to see, rinse off?
Yeah, I'm both. I'm both. So,
Okay.
that blondie, the scalp lightener that we saw, she's a 20-minute to the dot because that's what works for her. But again, it took us a couple goes of getting there. So I maybe left it on for 15 and it was slightly that bit warm. So then we went 20 and we're like, perfect, write it
So this
down
is the
on.
20-minute.
Yes. So that is my
Okay.
20-minute because, it just, the toner works so well with her hair, and it stays on for the 20 minutes, and then it's going to last as well. So um that's how long I leave for her. For the other one, that is probably more of like a leave for 10 minutes. I'll always leave for at least 10 minutes and
Okay.
see how it's looking, unless I look at it and I'm like, holy, this has got
Yeah.
to go. But most of the
You're
time,
like,
like for most,
woo!
yeah, exactly, for
It could
most of
be
my
scary.
clients though, um, I would say I probably leave on the 15 mark. And that is um partially because of timing. To leave on for 20 minutes, that is a long time. And this might be controversial, but because I lighten to a point where it's a nice color. Again, I'm not trying to cover. So even though that toner might fade out, it's not fading to a warm yellow because I've lifted your foils to a pale yellow in hairdressing talk, which is a beautiful creamy blonde. So again, majority of my clients are more of that sort of creamy tone. And so I know when this toner washes out, you're not gonna have anything that I'm trying to hide underneath. So I
That
don't
makes
feel
perfect sense. Yeah,
yeah, I
that
don't
makes
feel I
perfect
need
sense.
to
If
leave
you
it.
get them mostly there to begin, well, the goal going in
Yes,
is to not to have to tone. And so, because
exactly.
toning is just removing unwanted tone. Well, you
Yeah,
don't wanna start there. You wanna
no,
try to not get there, and if you must,
exactly.
then if you must tone, you tone, right?
Yes, and I think that, yeah, the reason I tone is because when you like first get your hair done, because I get foils done, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like it's so blonde, like, and so I think that, but then as it sort of fades out and as it grows out, you get more used to it. So I guess the reason I tone is to soften it slightly, and then
For
as it
sure.
sort of fades out and gets that bit brighter, people become more used to it. So, but again, it's not fading out to a yellow, it's just fading out to maybe that brighter blonde, or yeah, it's almost just to soften it slightly, give it a bit of a gloss, opposed to going, oh, I need to cover up my foils.
No,
So
I
yeah.
I love that you're kind of explaining that the way you're explaining it, because
Yes.
again, if you're new coming into the industry and you don't learn the way you just explained it, you're going to fall into that whatever. I don't even know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to
I
find the
call
right
it
word so I
I
don't
call it
sound
lazy
mean.
hairdressing. I call it
Yeah.
lazy
So
hairdressing
there,
because
you
that's
said
what
it.
it is. Yeah,
You
I
said
said
it,
it.
not
Can
me.
come for me, can come for me. And look, and this is what I find a lot
Wow.
of these big chains do. They
Mhm.
pump people in and out, and that works for them. And some people don't mind getting their foils done every 6 weeks. But as I said, for my particular clientele, I get it right so that they can go, 3 to 6 to I have a client who's come in, we did her color last year, so it's literally been 1 year. She's brunette and she got just a few highlights, and I said to her, "Wow, your color still looks good." She's like, "Do I need to do anything?" I was like, "Well, no." I was like, "Do you still like it?" She's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Well, that's it." And she's like, "Thank you for being honest," because I could easily go, "Oh, we need to do a tone, we need to do this," but I was like, "No, it still looks really great."
But
And do
you
you
know
know what?
what, Olivia, integrity goes a long way.
Absolutely,
You know, you're
absolutely,
gonna
and this
crash
is
and
where
burn doing it the wrong way. You can do that for
totally.
so long, and then people they catch on quick,
Yeah, for sure, and
quicker
that's it, like
quicker than you think, like
yep,
this
so
hour is going by. So I'm
yeah,
like, "Wow, we're almost at our hour."
yeah.
Let's get into, education and trends.
Okay.
There's a concern, I will tell you, young, amazing stylist Olivia, with seasoned stylist who, they're thinking that you guys aren't getting education as pure and authentic as you probably should in order to really grasp and understand a skill. It's one thing to be able to do it, but do you understand the how or the why, excuse me, behind doing it, right? And
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
what would you say, I want to get your thoughts on today's generation of hairdressers and how they process education, and how much of your own education is hands-on versus online or demo only education.
So, like, as in the education that I do for
Yeah, like
myself?
when you
Yeah,
go
yeah,
out and you learn a technique,
yeah.
are you because we all can't spend hundreds of dollars and travel all around the place getting education. You can do
Yes,
that, but you're not going to do that so regularly that you're getting education once a month or something like we
yes,
did when we
yes.
were in training. But
Yeah,
when you do get your education, or whoever it is that you're influenced by, because we're all influenced by someone, right? That's how we pick up a
yes.
technique past what we learned in beauty school. Um, when you are you because I noticed, even when I go to take classes from an influencer, all they're doing is showing us. I'm like, where's the
Yes, yes,
hands-on part? The hands-on
yes.
part is gone,
Yeah,
and I'm like, I
yeah,
can't
for
really
sure.
retain anything by just
Yeah,
watching something until I
yeah.
actually get my hands in it. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely, yeah, and look, going back to what you were saying about, yeah, seasoned hairdressers who don't think people are getting their education, I don't think they're wrong. I think that I can totally understand that, and I guess that for me, I was fortunate enough to have a boss who had been in the industry for years. And so I used to just stand behind her like a weirdo. I would just stand behind her and watch her. And I am so grateful that I got to train, specifically with cutting. A lot of young people in the hairdressing industry don't know how to cut. Your old lady haircut, they don't know how to do it. And so I
Amen
think
to
that,
that, I say.
yeah,
Yeah, you're
yeah, and
right.
and and do you know what though? Like the techniques that you use on that, you can actually then use on a long, like my hair, like a layered cut, like because the angles and if I create this, and actually the best advice my old boss ever gave me was, uh, haircut is like a sculpture. And so I started, instead of just doing what college told me, pizza slice, this, that, I actually looked at it in the mirror, and I go, "Oh, how's that sitting there? Oh, how's this? Oh, okay, oh, this doesn't have as much hair, so I'll only take a little bit from here, and then this side I'll take more." Whereas I think people are so structured from college that they don't actually, yeah, have that creative. So I think that seasoned hairdressers probably were then trained not only by on the books college, they
Yeah,
then were trained by the people they
that's
worked with.
correct.
Whereas
Yeah.
now I think
Well,
that
and
maybe
and
that's
major brands back then, they used to have classes. You could go
yeah,
to their academy, and now an
yes,
academy kind of doesn't even exist,
yes,
sadly.
yes,
But there are two I have to mention their names because they've been a guest on my show that and I'm excited for their episodes to air. But Ashley Norman, she's an amazing educator who goes over the foundational cuts first, as does Sana Brado.
yeah,
Those two, they're really good educators. They are so well versed and trained with, some of the top, education platforms in the world. And the way they just deliver the what's the word? Just mapping out what it takes for you to actually grasp and understand so that you have a toolbox full of foundational cuts that will allow you to do any haircut, no matter
yeah,
what picture, no matter what length,
yeah,
no matter what. So
yeah, that's
Ashley
awesome.
Norman and Sana Brado, they have two very, very, online courses as well. They come in
Yeah,
person. If you ever see them in your hood,
yeah,
definitely
yeah, for
jump on
sure. That's
jump on
awesome.
that for sure. But I appreciate you being honest and sharing your take. And I love that we're not as far apart as people may think.
Yes,
New
yes, for
generation
sure.
versus old. Um, let's see. Who are you influenced by? Just real quick. Do you follow? I know you said you quiet the noise and just do your thing, but is there
Yeah.
anybody online that you follow that you like, you know what? I may, if they ever did a class, I may take their class.
Do it. I'm trying to think. To be honest, not really. Like I'm probably more influenced by people around me. So my best friend's a hairdresser, and getting even tips from her, like, oh yeah, I used this the other day. I'm like, oh, I should try that, and so probably more so that than because
Well, I
because
like that
social
too, though.
media.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I like
yeah,
that too, that you have real people.
yeah,
That's all
yeah,
this conversation is about. Is there a real
yeah,
person showing you real things where you can
yeah,
ask real questions?
yeah, for
Let's talk
sure.
about your social media real quick. We
Yeah,
have what,
couple
20-ish
minutes.
minutes. Okay. So social media
Yeah.
on a scale, Olivia, from 1 to 10, how much do you love making content? Be honest.
In the beginning, loved it, like,
Okay.
absolutely loved it, but okay, wait, maybe not the making content, but yeah, I really enjoyed when I posted and started to get that, traction. I was on my phone all the time, I started getting a sore wrist. I was like to my boyfriend, "It's worse than, doing hairdressing." I'm like, "I'm on my phone all the time." So, loved the reaction I got from the content. Yes, that's what I'll say for that.
Okay. All right. I like that. And then on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you despise social media?
On a
If you're
personal
honest.
level, yeah, yeah, on a personal level, I highly dislike it, which is why I'm not on it a lot, which is why I don't
One to
see it.
10, is it a 2? Is it a 3?
It's probably a 2.
Ooh.
Business-wise, though, I think it's amazing for business.
Oh, yeah, that's the only reason I'm on it.
Absolutely.
Honestly,
Yeah.
the
Agreed.
only reason,
Agreed.
because I feel like that was a trick question, so you could say it and not me.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll take
So
the
you're
blame, I don't mind.
so let's talk about how much of your business though do you is reliant on social media? Would you say like 90% of it? Did you build your clientele from your social media, or is it word of mouth?
So I was super fortunate because I worked for 7 years at my other place. I was able to take a huge chunk of clients over
Got you.
with me. I then word of mouth, sisters, boyfriends, brothers, girlfriends, all those
And
things.
how did your first salon that you were at where you built your clientele, how did they receive that? Because we talk about that too, like salon owners, they get really salty. I used to own big salons, but I had to leave a big salon in order to be successful at owning my own salon. I don't know why
Yes,
they don't get that. You know, you're
yes,
going to
yes,
leave at some point, and it's ridiculous to think that you're going to leave your clients there when the
yeah,
only reason they're there, especially if they're your regular clients, is for you. So why
yes,
wouldn't they want to continue to follow you wherever you went? And why wouldn't
100%.
you, as a salon owner, be supportive of that
Yeah,
next step that you started? That was your starting
yes,
point as well, right?
yes.
So when you
That's a
left,
really great point. Yeah.
did you get support or did you get
So
resistance?
I really like what you just said because that is something that I wholeheartedly believe. When I go get my hair done, I put it up on my story on my salon account. My best friend did my hair. If I'm not available, go see my best friend. Go see their salon. I will always support other hairdressers because if you go to my best friend and you like her more than me, that's fine. Do you know what? I'm so happy, because yes, I did experience, like, my boss was really great because she knew I was 15 and I said one day I'm going to own a salon in my interview. So she knew it was going to happen. Look, from what went on after that, again, I'm in my bubble. I would like to not know, but I'm sure there was probably more to that. But she was really great with just yeah, going good on you, best of luck kind of thing. I think
Okay.
that I would have liked maybe that more support. Like I have, 2 other girls that I used to work with, both have salons. I will always, someone's moving out to this place. Oh, that's near my friend's salon. If that's easier for you, I truly believe that if you support people, what goes around comes around. So I
Oh,
think that,
absolutely.
yeah, I think
And just the mindset, people need to get into the mindset that, or salon owners, some people don't own people.
no, yeah,
People have free will. If they want to stay here, they will. If they don't, they won't. Like you
100%, yeah.
can't do anything
And the
about
more
that
you
part.
push, yes, yes, just quickly, the more you push,
Mhm.
I find, the more people will resist that because on social media, you have everyone at your fingertips. People
Yeah.
are choosing to come see me. I'm not
Yeah.
going to say, "Oh, she's really bad, don't go to her. Oh,
Yeah.
that's really bad." No, I support everyone, and I find that that approach actually draws people to you because they go, "Wow, she's actually a really nice person. She's not just trying to keep me here and be greedy, and go, "Oh, sorry, I can't do Saturday. Sorry." No, I'm like, "Oh, try
Yeah.
this salon, try this person. Oh, I don't do extensions, but I know this person." So I think that the community in hairdressing, if you can tap into that and have some really great people around you, it just generates clients for everyone. There's enough clients to go around.
Right? And I mean, say it just like you said it, because you are absolutely right. I think like attracts like always. And in our communities, whether it's our friendships or our clientele, we cultivate people who align with us. That's what ends
Yes,
up happening in the end. You go through all these people, and then you end up with this group, this tribe,
100%.
community, and you're like, oh,
Yeah,
my
this is
people,
the best. Yeah.
yay!
Yep, yep,
Exactly.
absolutely.
Let's give our new stylist just some inspiration, because
Yes.
I, again, am so impressed by you and what you're doing. and I know there's just so much more to come. But what advice would you give to young stylists just starting out in the industry?
Um, so much. I think that being a sponge and soaking up as much as you can from everyone around you, because what we said, yes, you get your education usually through the formal part, but the people that can teach you the most are the people you're going to be working with, the people who've been in the industry. So as I said, stand behind them. What are you doing here? How did you do that? And ask all the questions. And there's no silly questions. And yeah, just try to learn and take as much advice from everyone. I remember one person showed me the foiling angle, one showed me how they weaved, one showed me their lightener mix, and now I've got all of that, and then you can create your own. So just learn from everyone, take in as much information as you can. I also think that it's really hard starting out. You're sweeping floors, you're washing hair, you're making coffees. I promise you, it gets better. I was a weirdo, and I was like, oh my God, I'm sweeping floors. And, I loved just being in the salon. I remember the first head that I touched, I went home and I was like, oh my God, mom, like, I think I put a gloss that was literally clear, could not have stuffed it up. I was like, oh my God, I did a color. Like, I was so excited. So I think just, yeah, staying excited about it and knowing that, it does get better, it does get easier, and just give everything a go.
Oh,
I think,
I love that. What do you find most, Olivia? What do you find most rewarding about being a stylist, and how do you stay motivated in your work? Did you just,
um,
I think you were just born motivated. I think that question, I could probably just by everything you've
yes,
already said, answer that question. Let's
yes,
let's
yep,
let's just jump right on to, because I feel like you have honestly answered that question. So,
yes.
how do you, with all your content creation, with your 200 clients, with just the big ball of energy that you are, how do you manage your personal work life balance?
Yeah, look, it definitely goes up and down. So I like to, stay healthy, stay fit. And often when you jump into work, I find that's what falls off first for me, which shouldn't be the case, but let's be real, it is. I'm young, I'm trying to save for a house. If I see a client walk in message me, oh, I want this, and it's $400, or I go to the gym, I'm like, well, I'm gonna go to this. So look, to be honest, I think it ebbs and flows. I have some weeks where I've got my Pilates done, I've
Yeah,
worked my big days, I've eaten healthy, I've eaten my chicken salad. And then
yeah,
I have some weeks where I'm like, I had takeout, I haven't
yeah.
exercised, but I worked a lot, and so I think that the answer is I have balance, but it's maybe not a routine balance that people typically see as balance. So I kind of just go week by week, and that works for me, and I have probably prioritized my salon because I've had it for almost 2 years now. So I've definitely prioritized that. Now that I'm sitting at my 200 clients, I can probably go, okay, let's actually start setting some hours and stick to them and say no to people. That's what I'm
All
still
of that.
learning. I'm still learning. Yeah.
Well, you're very new, although your experience has accelerated, beyond I think what's average for a new stylist. So you're not going to know everything right now, but I
No,
think
that's
you're
right.
ahead of the game for sure. And you
Oh, thank you.
definitely will. You'll find that work. You'll find that balance where you can not answer a text while you're
Yes.
shopping for
Yes.
groceries or on vacation.
Yes. Yes.
I don't
Yep.
think we ever get
Yep.
there, honestly, because
Yep.
a lot of emotion gets poured into our business because we do deal
Absolutely.
with human beings. And
Yes.
so, it's hard not to put your emotion in there somewhere.
For sure,
So,
yeah. And I think being able to that point, sorry, I think that, yeah, when I walk out the salon, I can switch off. So I am quite good at switching off. If I do see a message, I'm okay to sort of leave that. So I guess once I'm not in the salon, I'm fine. It's just more so I work a lot. I'm in the
oh,
salon a lot. But yeah, exactly right. Like, yeah, being able to switch off and just go, okay, I'm going to set, if you're on holidays, I'm just going to set half an hour each morning to check my DMs and put that up on your story. Hey guys, I'm on holidays, always available on DMs. We'll be checking every morning from 9 a.m.,
Great advice.
So
1000%.
yeah.
Great advice. Well, Olivia, we have come to the end of this. This was a good episode.
This was great. I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, I'm so glad I reached out to you, because it just certain people, when I'm scrolling through, they just pop out, and then I'll revisit, and then I'll revisit again. And I said, yeah, I think I'm going to reach out to her, because I saw something special. No, you're so welcome. Thank you again for lending me your time. Well, this is the part of the show that I love the most, because I am the game girl in my group of friends, and so I had to get one in to my episodes, and this one I call the 60-second blowout.
Okay, I like it.
All righty, and I get to see clear. I put the glasses on, all the things. So I'm gonna set the timer for 60 seconds, and then you answer as quickly and honestly as you can.
Okay, I'm gonna try to be quick.
I know you're probably going to you're probably going to beat the time, because nobody has so far. Okay, ready?
Okay.
Favorite shade of pink?
Baby pink.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Go-to hair tool?
A straightener.
Favorite hair trend right now?
Money pieces.
Beach or city life?
Beach.
Early bird or night owl?
Early bird.
Favorite hair color line?
Redken.
Straight or curly hair?
Curly.
Instagram or TikTok?
Instagram.
Favorite snack while working?
Pretzels.
Go-to hairstyle for yourself?
Curly.
Favorite place to travel in Australia?
Just went to Broome.
Bold colors or natural tones?
Natural tones.
Most used emoji?
The heart hands. Damn it.
Yay! There's just one question left. You did amazing. Woohoo! Okay, so this is where we find out how humble you are. Make your silliest selfie face.
My silliest selfie face. I don't know. I'd have to be intoxicated, and I'd be like this. I reckon.
I love it. Okay, hey, I'll take that one. That was great. Well, thank you for your time. I know you're on a schedule. It is Sunday night where I am, but it is Monday morning where you are.
Yes.
And I wish you, Olivia, the best day, and I will be following your journey. Tell everyone where they can find you.
So I'm on Instagram as salon@22.
All right. Okay, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Bye, Olivia.
Bye. Thank you so much for having me on. It was great.
Guys, thank you so much for watching, and please know all of your support means the world. Like, comment, subscribe. I know we hate those words, but those things are going to allow me to unlock more opportunities to bring you more amazing guests with better sound quality and better production. So I appreciate you guys, and I will see you next time.